Groovy vibes, funky music, and endless laughs. Who could forget what's happening? This classic sitcom from the late 70s brought joy and laughter to living rooms across America with its lovable trio of teens navigating life in Los Angeles. Raj, Dwayne, Rerun, they weren't just characters, they were part of a generation's childhood. But what has happened since What's Happening went off the air? In this video, we take you on a nostalgic ride to catch up with the cast, then and now, in 2025. From personal milestones to career changes, see how the stars of this feel-good series have grown, evolved, and left their mark on Hollywood and beyond. Some stories may surprise you, and all of them will warm your heart. Ernest Thomas, who played Raj Thomas, was 27 when he embodied the bookish, slightly awkward teen trying to navigate high school, family responsibilities, and friendships in What's Happening? Off-screen, Thomas's career after the show saw limited success. Despite a few guest appearances on sitcoms, his acting trajectory faltered, leaving him typecast. He married author Sheila Dunlop in 1982, but their union, strained by his growing depression and career frustrations, ended in a bitter divorce in 1989. They had one daughter, Amina, whom he rarely sees now due to long-standing familial disputes. Thomas battled alcoholism in the late 90s and was twice hospitalized for breakdowns. He lived briefly in a halfway house in 2002 and faced financial ruin after a failed investment in a gospel stage play. Despite recovering spiritually and becoming a motivational speaker, he lives modestly in a rented apartment in Atlanta, surviving mainly on Social Security and small appearance fees. Now 75, Thomas reportedly has an estimated net worth of under $40,000 and rarely makes public appearances, citing health concerns and emotional fatigue. He remains estranged from much of his extended family, and spends most of his time in solitude, reflecting on his early fame and its fleeting rewards. Haywood Nelson, who portrayed the cheerful and boyish Dwayne Nelson, was just 16 when he won audiences with his easy smile and friendly demeanor. The role brought him fame early, but it also trapped him in a cycle of unfulfilled potential. Nelson attempted a college education in engineering but dropped out due to rising anxiety and substance abuse issues. He married model Cynthia Glass in 1987. However, the marriage ended after 3 years due to infidelity and emotional neglect. They had no children. His second marriage to publicist Lauren Freeman was even shorter and ended in a restraining order after allegations of emotional abuse. Nelson's finances crumbled in the 2000s after failed ventures in tech startups and real estate. He declared bankruptcy in 2006 and spent several years living with relatives. Despite brief efforts to return to acting, he faced industry rejection and now lives quietly in Queens, caring for his ailing older brother. Once hailed as a teen heartthrob, Nelson, now 65, lives off modest royalties and has a net worth estimated at around $25,000. He's rarely seen in public and reportedly suffers from chronic depression and social withdrawal. Danielle Spencer, who brought sharp wit and sass as Dee Thomas at just 11 years old, quickly became a fan favorite. Her life, however, was plagued with tragedy. After the show ended, she pursued veterinary school and became a successful veterinarian, but a near-fatal car accident in 1977 left her with severe spinal injuries that caused chronic pain and mobility issues. Though she briefly married marketing executive Gary Fields in 1999, their marriage ended within 2 years as she struggled with PTSD and he felt emotionally overwhelmed. They had one son, Elijah, but she lost custody during a mental health crisis in 2006. Her attempted comeback as a motivational speaker never took off. Spencer has endured multiple surgeries and now lives on disability benefits. She faced eviction several times and relies on help from a few loyal fans and friends. Once a child star with promise, she is now 59 and lives alone in subsidized housing in California. Her net worth is estimated at just $10,000. With most of her belongings sold to cover medical bills. She's become a recluse, haunted by the life that fame stole from her. Fred Berry, who played the iconic Dance-loving Freddie, Rerun Stubbs, was 25 when he rose to stardom with his comedic flair and signature suspenders. His post-show life was a whirlwind of fame, excess, and misfortune. Barry struggled with addiction to alcohol and cocaine throughout the 80s, leading to several stints in rehab. He married 6 times, with 5 of those marriages ending in bitter divorces. He had 3 children, Frederick Jr., Trina, and Malcolm, but had strained relationships with all due to his erratic behavior and prolonged absences. Financial mismanagement led to bankruptcy in 1990, forcing him to do local church tours and motivational speaking for income. Barry found religion later in life, becoming a born-again Christian, but his health steadily declined due to obesity and diabetes. On October 21, 2003, he died at age 52 from a stroke linked to complications of diabetes. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at under $20,000. Despite his tragic downfall, fans continue to remember him fondly for his joyful spirit and unforgettable dance moves that once lit up television screens. Shirley Hemphill, best known as the sharp-tongued waitress Shirley Wilson, was 29 when she joined the cast. Her comedic timing made her a standout, but her real life was marked by solitude and sadness. Despite her success on What's Happening?, Hemphill never found lasting happiness in relationships. She remained unmarried and often spoke of her loneliness in late-night interviews. She had one daughter, Tanya, from a brief affair with a married producer, but the relationship with her daughter was distant due to Shirley's demanding touring schedule. Her stand-up comedy career waned in the 1990s, and she sank into financial troubles. She was evicted twice and had to move into a modest apartment in West Covina. Battling obesity and hypertension, she died alone in her home on December 10, 1999, at the age of 52. Her body was found days later, highlighting the isolation she endured. Her estate was worth less than $15,000 at the time of her passing. Although her comedic legacy endures, Hemphill's final years were ones of declining health, professional obscurity, and emotional detachment from the world she once made laugh. David Hollander, who portrayed the precocious and mischievous Little Earl, Barnett Jr. on What's Happening Now, was just 10 years old when he joined the cast in 1978. His youthful charisma and comedic timing made him a fan favorite despite limited screen time. However, David's transition from child stardom to adult life was rocky. After the series ended, he struggled to find stable roles, often losing out to more marketable child actors. Feeling forgotten by Hollywood, he drifted into obscurity and later battled depression. He married once in 1995 to a schoolteacher named Marla Jennings, but their relationship was marked by emotional distance and frequent separations. They divorced in 2008. The couple had one daughter, Elena, whom David rarely sees due to ongoing custody disputes. He attempted to revive his career through local theater, but financial instability and personal insecurities derailed most efforts. He currently lives alone in a modest apartment in Fresno, working part-time as a warehouse clerk. At 56 years old, he has been diagnosed with chronic anxiety and diabetes. Once full of promise, Hollander's life has become one of faded dreams and unresolved regrets. His current net worth is estimated to be under $30,000. Earl Billings, who played Rob, the kind and easygoing owner of Rob's Place, was 32 when he stepped into the role in 1977. His portrayal provided a grounded and paternal figure in a show dominated by youthful energy. After What's Happening, Earl continued acting in minor roles but never secured another breakthrough. Though respected by peers, he was largely overlooked by the industry. Billings married his college sweetheart, Geneva Taylor, in 1975. They had 3 children, Malcolm, LaToya, and Byron. While his marriage lasted, it was marred by long periods of separation due to his sporadic work in different cities. His eldest son, Malcolm, became estranged after a dispute over a failed business venture. Financially, Earl invested poorly in 2 failed restaurant startups, leaving him in debt for years. Though he found some stability with occasional TV roles and voice work, his income remained modest. Now 80, he lives quietly in Inglewood, California, supported by a modest pension and residual checks. His current net worth is estimated at around $150,000, and though he's out of the spotlight, he often reflects on the warm, brief glow of his time on screen. Fritzi Burr, who played Miss Collins, the stern yet humorous teacher in What's Happening, was 53 when she joined the series in 1977. Known for her sharp delivery and motherly authority, she brought a balance of warmth and discipline to the show. After the series, Burr saw her opportunities dry up in an industry with limited space for older actresses. She never married, claiming in interviews that she never had time to care for a man and a script at the same time. Still, she longed for companionship in her later years, often expressing regret about prioritizing career over love. Burr became reclusive in her 60s, battling arthritis and early-stage Alzheimer's. She lived in a small Los Angeles apartment, and was largely forgotten by fans and industry professionals alike. Her final years were spent in assisted living, and her only regular visitors were volunteers from a local senior center. She passed away on January 17, 2003, at the age of 78 due to complications from pneumonia. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at $20,000, with most of her belongings donated to charity. She remains a faint but fond memory for those who appreciated her commanding presence. Thalmus Rasulala portrayed Bill Thomas, the absent yet lingering father figure to Raj and Dee. He was 47 in 1976 when he took on the role, bringing intensity and vulnerability to a character often defined by regret. Rasulala had already established himself as a force in film and television, but behind his success lay a life riddled with private turmoil. Married to actress Shirley Hill, the relationship was marred by substance abuse and infidelity, ending in divorce in 1982. They had one son, Julian, who later sued his father over unpaid child support. Following his divorce, Rasulala struggled with a gambling addiction, losing over $250,000 in a short span. His career slowed, and he began to take on roles in B-movies and low-budget television, sometimes just to cover rent. Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 1990, he kept his illness private while still attempting auditions. He died on October 9, 1991, at the age of 51. His estate was mired in debt, with an estimated net worth of less than $10,000 at the time of death. Once a symbol of promise, Rasulala's tragic decline remains a stark reminder of fame's fragile nature. Debbie Morgan, who portrayed Diane Harris on What's Happening, was just 20 years old in 1976. Her beauty and strong screen presence quickly earned her a loyal fanbase. Though her role on the show was brief, it helped launch a career that saw early highs but painful lows. Debbie's romantic life was marked by turbulence. She married actor Charles Weldon in 1980, but their union ended within 2 years due to allegations of emotional abuse. She later married photographer Don Thompson, and although they seemed picture-perfect, their relationship was quietly unraveling behind the scenes, ending in divorce in 1996. She has no children, a fact she said she regrets. Debbie continued to act in daytime soap operas, most notably All My Children, but a series of health scares, including uterine fibroids and depression, forced her to step away from acting for several years. Financial struggles followed. Poor investments and unpaid taxes depleted much of her savings. She currently lives in Atlanta and occasionally teaches acting workshops. Now 68, Morgan lives alone in a modest condo with a net worth estimated at $100,000. Though she still receives fan letters, she often reflects on a career that never quite matched the promise of her early years. Teddy Wilson, who played both Al Dunbar and Marty in What's Happening, was 33 in 1976 and known for his versatile comic timing and memorable guest appearances. Despite frequent roles in hit sitcoms like Good Times and Sanford and Son, Wilson never secured a leading part, which haunted him deeply. He married actress Lynn Hamilton, best known from Sanford and Son, but the two struggled to maintain a work-life balance, particularly after Wilson fell into a cycle of alcohol abuse during the 1980s. The couple separated twice before officially divorcing in 1989. They had 2 daughters, Erica and Sasha, both of whom later spoke publicly about their strained relationship with their father. In the final years of his life, Teddy battled cirrhosis and was in and out of hospitals, often alone. He died on July 21, 1991, at just 47 years old, from complications related to a stroke and liver disease. His net worth at the time of death was less than $15,000, and he left no will, sparking a brief legal battle among his surviving relatives. Though his time on screen brought laughter to millions, his private life was filled with pain, addiction, and regret. Ronalda Douglas, who portrayed both April and Nancy on What's Happening, brought energy and charm to her limited appearances on the show. Despite being a scene stealer, her career didn't blossom after the series ended. By the early 1980s, she had retreated from the entertainment industry, citing constant rejection and a lack of meaningful roles for black women. Public records about her current whereabouts are scarce, and she's considered one of the vanished actresses of 1970s television. It's rumored she briefly moved to the Midwest, where she worked as a substitute teacher under a different name. She was reportedly married to a local musician named Eric Palmer in 1985, though there are no public records confirming a divorce or children. Former colleagues have described her as talented but emotionally fragile, often battling anxiety and feelings of inadequacy. If still alive today, she would be in her late 60s, possibly living under a new identity. Her net worth is unknown, though it's believed she left the industry with little financial gain. The mystery surrounding her life has made her the subject of niche fan forums, where former viewers speculate on what might have been. Helen Martin, who appeared as Millie and Mrs. Lloyd on What's Happening, was 81 years old in 1976 and already a seasoned actress of the stage and screen. Known for her no-nonsense demeanor and sharp comedic timing, Martin brought authenticity to every role she touched. Though beloved on screen, her personal life was one of quiet sorrow. She never married, once saying in an interview that the stage was her only true love. In her youth, she endured a traumatic miscarriage after a brief relationship with a theater director, an event she carried in silence for decades. She was often isolated in her later years, having outlived most of her peers. While she enjoyed minor success with roles in 227 and Don't Be a Menace, her finances were never secure. She lived in a rent-controlled apartment in Hollywood until her death on March 25, 2000, from a heart attack. At the time of her passing, she had a net worth of approximately $50,000. Her final years were spent mostly alone, save for a caretaker and occasional visits from former co-stars. Despite the loneliness, Martin left behind a legacy of perseverance and grace in an industry that rarely celebrated women of her age and background. Mabel King, who portrayed Mabel, Mama, Thomas on What's Happening, was 44 years old when she stepped into the role of the fiercely protective and no-nonsense mother. Her character became iconic for her tough love and memorable catchphrases, resonating with viewers across generations. Off-screen, however, King's life was plagued by tragedy and isolation. Though she began her career as a singer, her rising fame never translated into long-term security. She married Melvin King, a production assistant, in the early 1960s, and they had one son, Larry. Their marriage was troubled by jealousy and conflicting career paths and ended in a bitter divorce in 1973. Larry suffered from addiction issues throughout his life, and Mabel spent much of her later years trying to help him recover, to little avail. King's health began to deteriorate in the 1980s. She was diagnosed with diabetes, which led to the amputation of both legs and an arm. Despite her condition, she lived alone in a modest Los Angeles apartment, largely forgotten by Hollywood. She passed away on November 9, 1999, at the age of 66, from complications related to diabetes. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at under $15,000, and her funeral was a quiet affair, attended by only a few close friends. Though she once played a strong matriarch on screen, Mabel King's real-life story ended in heartbreaking loneliness and decline. Who is your favorite character from What's Happening? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.